What would you do if a 6-year-old boy stormed into a billionaire CEO's office, slammed down a wrinkled resume, and confidently said, "I'm here to apply for the executive position," only for that CEO to realize the boy might be his son? That's exactly what happened to Ethan Caldwell, a man who built his empire brick by brick, dollar by dollar, only to have everything shaken by a child in a crooked tie and oversized blazer. At first it seemed like a joke, a cute story for the office to laugh about. But when Ethan saw the boy's mother, Rachel Bennett, walk in, everything changed. She wasn't just anyone. She was the woman he once planned to marry. And the boy, he wasn't just bold, he looked just like him. What followed was a series of revelations, heartbreaks, and choices that would force Ethan to confront the man he had become and the father he never knew he already was. But the most shocking moment, it wasn't the secret child. It wasn't the missed years. It was the contract. Stay with us, because by the time this story ends, one signature will change everything. Caldwell Enterprises, perched at the top floor of a sleek glass tower, was buzzing with tension. Ethan, the famously sharp and relentless CEO, had spent the entire morning interviewing candidates for a high-stakes executive role. None impressed him. Synergy, market penetration, revenue maximization, all buzzwords, no substance. He rubbed his temples in frustration, watching the clock tick toward his next appointment with zero expectation. Then his assistant Lisa burst through the door. Not knocked, burst. And Lisa never burst. "Mr. Caldwell," she said, her voice unusually tight, "your next candidate is unusual." Unusual, Ethan arched an eyebrow. Before she could explain, the door swung open again, this time with the confidence of someone who knew exactly where they belonged. And in walked the smallest job applicant Ethan had ever seen. No taller than 4 feet, dressed in a navy blue suit that hung from his shoulders like a costume, a little boy marched across the marble floor, polished shoes tapping with determination. His striped clip-on tie was slightly askew, and in his tiny hand, he carried a scuffed-up leather briefcase that looked like it belonged to his grandfather. He climbed into the chair across from Ethan, smoothed out his jacket, and folded his hands with pure professionalism. "I'm here for the interview," he said, dead serious. Ethan stared, blinking once then twice, as if sleep deprivation was finally catching up with him. He looked to Lisa. She lifted her hands, completely lost. The silence stretched. Then Ethan chuckled. "All right, kid. Who sent you? Is this some elaborate TikTok prank?" The boy didn't blink. "No prank, sir. I'm here for the job." Ethan leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. "Okay then. What position are you applying for? Executive assistant," the boy said firmly. "Or CFO? I'm flexible." Ethan burst into laughter. "You're open to negotiations?" "Yes," the boy nodded. "I read in a business book that flexibility is essential in leadership roles." Now Ethan was intrigued. "What's your name?" "Liam Bennett." "Well, Mr. Bennett," Ethan said, playing along, "what makes you think you're qualified for this job?" Liam calmly opened his briefcase and pulled out a single sheet of lined paper, sliding it across the desk. It was a resume, handwritten, in pencil, with a few eraser smudges. Qualifications: very good at math, except fractions. Those are dumb, can count to 1 million, but it takes a while. Ran a lemonade stand high. Profit low costs. Watched 3 YouTube videos about the stock market. Can work late, but only after cartoons. Ethan laughed so hard he nearly spilled his coffee. But Liam sat stone-faced, proud, unflinching. "Let me get this straight," Ethan said. "You snuck into my building, bypassed security, rode the executive elevator to the top floor, and walked into my office just for this?" "Yes," Liam said, beaming. "I followed the coffee cart. The lady pushing it was too busy texting." Lisa let out a faint gasp. Ethan smirked. "Okay, say I'm interested. Why do you want this job?" Liam's expression shifted. His eyes dropped to the desk. "Because my mom works too much," he said quietly. "She's always tired. If I get a job, maybe she won't have to work 2 shifts every day." The words hung in the air like a sudden silence after a thunderclap. Ethan's amusement faded. "I thought," maybe Liam continued, "if I earn money, she can sleep more. Maybe smile more." There was a vulnerability in that moment Ethan hadn't felt in years. He expected some silly answer about buying toys or video games. Instead, he got heartbreak disguised as ambition. Before Ethan could respond, the office door slammed open again. A woman burst in, frazzled, breathless, scanning the room until her eyes locked on Liam. "Oh my God. Liam, what are you doing?" the boy cringed. "Hi, Mom." Ethan stood, already feeling something twist in his chest, because he knew that voice, that face, even beneath the messy bun and tired eyes. Rachel Bennett, the woman he'd once planned to marry, the one who walked away when he chose ambition over love. She stared at him and for a second time rewound. He saw dorm rooms, late-night takeout, and whispered dreams about the future, and then he saw it all crumble. Rachel's expression hardened. "You've got to be kidding me." Ethan couldn't speak. Liam turned between them, his voice rising. "Mom, I'm in the middle of an interview. He's not wrong," Ethan said, half amused, half in awe. Rachel glared at him. "You cannot be serious." Ethan shrugged. "He infiltrated my building, outmaneuvered security, and pitched himself like a pro. Honestly, I've interviewed adults with fewer problem-solving skills." Liam puffed out his chest. "See, Mom? He gets it." Rachel sighed. "Liam, you can't just walk into billion-dollar corporations and demand a job. That's not how the world works." "I read a book that said sometimes you have to take bold risks," Liam said. "This was a calculated risk," Ethan chuckled. "The kid's not wrong." "5 minutes," Rachel snapped. "Then we're leaving." Liam nodded and turned back to Ethan, straightening his tie. "Mr. Caldwell, I am highly motivated, a quick learner, and I don't waste time in unnecessary meetings." Ethan leaned forward, elbows on the desk, completely drawn in. And in that instant, a strange realization hit him. This wasn't funny anymore. This wasn't ridiculous. This was something much, much more. "I'm truly sorry to cut the story off here, but I hope you understand. Part 2 will bring an even bigger twist you won't see coming. But before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you have done if you were Ethan and this little boy walked into your office like that? Do you think Rachel was right to keep Liam's identity a secret from Ethan? Why or why not? Let me know in the comments and tell me which country are you watching from. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to drop a like and tap the heart to support us. It truly helps more than you know. Ethan Caldwell stood frozen, staring at Rachel Bennett like he'd just seen a ghost. Her breath came in short, angry bursts, her eyes a storm of disbelief and exhaustion. Liam had gone quiet, eyes flicking between them, confused but clearly sensing something big was unfolding. "Rachel!" Ethan finally said, his voice catching in his throat. "I don't want to hear it," she snapped. "Come on, Liam. We're leaving." But the boy didn't budge. "Wait, were you two like, together or something?" Rachel closed her eyes. "Liam, you were," he said, eyes wide. "That's why you look like you've seen a zombie. You're his ex." Ethan looked at Rachel. "You didn't tell me." Her laugh was dry. Tell you what, Ethan? That you had a kid while you were too busy building your empire to return a phone call?" He flinched. "I didn't know." "Exactly," she said, grabbing Liam's hand. "And it's better that way." But Liam pulled free, standing his ground. "Wait, is he my dad?" Silence. Thick. Terrifying. Rachel froze. Ethan's breath hitched. Liam stared at them both, waiting, hoping, fearing. "Tell me," he whispered. "Please." Rachel's jaw clenched, then loosened. She looked at Ethan, then at Liam. "Yes," she said. "He is." Ethan's knees almost buckled. He reached out instinctively but stopped himself. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to beg for a place in your life," she said bitterly. "And I wasn't going to let my son grow up thinking he was unwanted. I never would have." "You don't know what you would have done," Rachel snapped. "You don't know who you were back then." "But I do." Liam turned to Ethan, his small face pinched in hurt and fury. "So where were you?" Ethan knelt, trying to meet his eyes. "I didn't know, Liam. If I had, but you didn't," Liam whispered. "You weren't there. I needed you." The words hit harder than any boardroom ambush ever had. Ethan could handle hostile takeovers, ruthless negotiations, billion-dollar losses. But this, a 6-year-old boy's broken trust, he wasn't ready. Rachel's voice softened. "We're going." But Ethan stood. "No, not yet." She narrowed her eyes. "Don't. I need to talk to you. Just 5 minutes." Rachel hesitated, clearly debating whether to walk or scream. Then with a sigh that sounded like surrender, she nodded. Liam, wait outside. The boy didn't move. He looked to Ethan. If I leave, are you going to lie to her? Ethan blinked. No, I promise. Liam gave a long, serious stare, then nodded and stepped out. As the door clicked shut behind him, Rachel crossed her arms. You have no right to show up now and think you get a second chance. I'm not here to fix the past, Ethan said. I'm here because I just found out I have a son, and that changes everything. Does it? She asked. Or is this just another ego project for you? Some guilt you're trying to patch over with a heartfelt gesture? He stepped forward. No, it's not about guilt. It's about him. He's smart, brave, resourceful. That kid our kids snuck into a corporate high-rise and demanded an interview. Who does that? She almost smiled. Almost. He didn't come for himself, Rachel. He came for you. Her arms loosened, and for the first time, Ethan saw the weight she carried, not just in her posture, but in her eyes. Years of sacrifice, sleepless nights, endless worry. He told me he wanted to help you sleep more, Ethan added quietly, because he sees you hurting. Rachel wiped at her eyes before any tears could fall. He shouldn't have to see that. But he does, Ethan said, and I'm here now. Let me help. She shook her head. It's not that simple. Then make it simple. Give me a chance. She looked at him for a long moment, as if searching for the person she once knew. Maybe she found a piece of him. Maybe not. I don't want Liam getting his hopes up just to watch you vanish again. I'm not going anywhere. We'll see. The door creaked open. Liam peeked inside. You done arguing? Rachel exhaled. For now. Liam walked back in, clutching a folded piece of paper. I made something. He handed it to Ethan. Ethan opened it slowly. It was a contract. Dad agreement. By signing this, you agree to show up when you say you will never skip movie nights. Cheer loud at baseball games. Help with homework, even if it's hard. Be my dad every day. Not just sometimes. There was a signature line beneath it, and a small star drawn next to it, just like the ones Ethan used to sign important company memos. I don't make bad deals, Liam said seriously. Ethan felt his throat tighten. He pulled out a pen. Signed, Liam beamed. Okay, you're officially hired. I hate to pause the story here, but I hope you'll forgive me for the interruption. Next part will reveal something even deeper, something that could either heal them all or break them forever. But before we continue, let me ask you, what would you have done in Rachel's place? Would you have kept Liam a secret too? And do you think Ethan deserves a second chance as a father? Tell me where you're watching from, and if this story touched your heart, please don't forget to tap like and share it with someone who believes in second chances. It had been 3 days since Ethan signed the dad agreement. 3 days since he promised a 6-year-old boy with 2 big dreams and 2 small shoes that he wasn't going to disappear again. And true to his word, he hadn't. Ethan showed up at Rachel and Liam's apartment each morning with breakfast, sometimes pancakes, sometimes bagels, and always with a smile that looked just a little less corporate and a little more human. But it wasn't easy. Liam didn't trust easily. He tested Ethan, constantly ignoring him, pretending not to care, challenging every promise. And Rachel. She watched silently, arms always metaphorically crossed, waiting for Ethan to break his word. One evening, after helping Liam with a math worksheet that made even Ethan's MBA tremble, he pulled Rachel aside. I want to do more than just show up, he said. I want to be in his life for real, not just when it's convenient. Rachel hesitated. That's not a small promise. I know, Ethan said softer now, but I've missed 6 years of his life already. I don't want to miss a second more. The next afternoon, Ethan picked Liam up from school and drove him straight to Caldwell Enterprises. You still want that job? Ethan asked, trying not to smile. Liam's eyes lit up. You're serious? As a signed contract, Ethan said, tapping the boy's chest pocket. He walked Liam through the building, introduced him to his assistant, showed him the finance department, and let him sit in on a creative meeting. Liam, of course, had opinions. Too many PowerPoints, he whispered loudly. At the end of the day, Ethan took him to his office, letting Liam sit in the big leather chair. From here, Liam whispered, staring out the window. You can see everything. Ethan nodded. But the best view is right here, he said, looking at his son. Liam turned puzzled. That's cheesy, Ethan laughed. Yeah, but it's also true. That night as they stood in front of Rachel's door, Liam hesitated before going inside. You're not going to disappear again, right? Ethan knelt to meet his eyes. Not ever. The next few weeks passed like a soft unfolding of something sacred. Movie nights, baseball games, laughter that didn't feel forced. Liam began to relax. Rachel too started letting down the walls she had built to survive. But then came the deal. A multi-billion-dollar merger, Ethan's biggest yet scheduled the same day as Liam's school play. The board expected him to fly to London. Everything hinged on him. Ethan stared at the flight ticket, his phone buzzing with reminders. And then he looked at Liam's drawing, taped to his office wall, the two of them holding hands under a blue sky, the words "My hero" scribbled in crayon. He canceled the flight. That night, he sat in the back row of the school auditorium and watched Liam dressed as a proud little tree beam as he delivered his one line. Afterward, as they left the school hand in hand, Rachel touched Ethan's arm. You gave up the deal. I didn't lose anything, he said. I just finally understood what winning looks like. Later that week, Ethan invited Rachel to lunch, not as co-parents, but just as two people rediscovering something long buried under time and pain. I've changed, he said, not as a pitch, but as a truth. Rachel smiled, the kind of smile that took years to rebuild. I know, so have I. They didn't rush anything. But for the first time in years, they walked side by side, talking not about what they lost, but what they might still build. The following Saturday, Ethan brought Liam to the office again. But this time, he didn't lead him to the executive suite. Instead, he handed Liam a framed certificate. Welcome to the Junior Advisory Board, it read. What's that? Liam asked, eyes wide. It means Ethan said you're officially part of the team, and I expect weekly updates on what Caldwell Enterprises should do better. Liam grinned. First of all, more pizza Fridays. Duly noted. Ethan sat down, pulled Liam into his lap, and looked at the framed agreement still hanging on the wall. For years, he'd measured success in revenue and expansion. Now he measured it in bedtime stories, little league cheers, and a child's arms wrapped around his neck. And for the first time in his life, he felt whole. Before we wrap up this journey, let me ask you, if you were in Ethan's shoes, would you have canceled the business deal for your child's school play? And do you think Rachel should consider giving their relationship another chance? What did you think of this story? Comment number 3 if you loved it, number 2 if it was okay, and number 1 if it didn't quite hit the mark. And most importantly, where are you watching from today? If this story moved you, please give it a like, tap the heart, and share it with someone who believes that second chances are always worth fighting for.